So last night, LSU versus USC was a game that, quite frankly, I think went down a lot differently than most people anticipated. Most people probably thought this was going to be a high scoring shootout, and what we saw instead was something a little bit different, but was incredibly entertaining. Today, we need to break it down. We need to talk about the new look defense for USC, the hires that they made, and why it's paying dividends. But we also need to talk about LSU and how some of these same problems continue to pop up and rear their ugly head, and ask the question, what comes next for the Tigers? But before we can, as always, y'all know the drill. I have got to hear from you. Hop down to the comments. Y for yes, N for no. Were you excited about what you saw from USC and their new look defense? Let me know what you're thinking. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe. Hit that bell notification as I do constant college football content. You don't want to miss any of it. And if you enjoyed the content, be sure to like and comment down below. But having said all that, let's jump right into this. And for USC fans that are coming to watch this video right now, I know I've been hard on USC's defense for years now. Ever since Lincoln Riley got there and brought Alex Grinch, I had questions. And I was very vocal about those questions. And many of you USC fans disagreed with me, which is completely fine. My job and my outlook on doing this, because I'm just a fan, but my outlook on doing this is it's not my goal to be agreed with, it's my goal to be understood. So if you watch one of my videos and you say, hey, I don't agree with him, but I understand why he's taking the position he is, and he made a sound, logical argument, then we are all good. Disagreement is something that breeds into ingenuity, and I'm fine with that. But I hope that USC fans would also say that my criticism is fair, especially after seeing what Lynn was able to do with that defense in less than a year. It truly looked like a different defense. And sure, if you're still someone who wants to say USC's defense isn't going to be very good, you can point to the fact that LSU still had some offensive success. I would point you to the fact that it's game one against an LSU offense that's going to have an offensive line up for the Joe Moore Award, maybe has the best tackle in all of football. I don't think anybody that truly knows LSU was worried about what they were going to replace with the wide receivers. It's LSU. Every time you turn around, they have another wide receiver that's doing unbelievable things, and that looks to be the case this year. And I have been high on Nuss. I have stated for a year now that, yeah, when Daniels leaves, like, Jaden Daniels is a monster, but they got a guy behind him that if I was an LSU fan, I'd feel real good about. So it's not like USC's defense played a bad offense. There are components to that offense that are really good. Wide receiver room, offensive line. I think Nuss is a solid quarterback. Running back is still a little bit of a question for me. Even though they had a good night, didn't have a bad night. Still a little bit of a question for me in terms of what are you going to do all season long? Because once again, it's a one-game sample size. It's only a one-game sample size, but even then they had over 100 yards at 117, averaging 4.5 per. But USC's defense absolutely looked different. I don't think this is a USC defense that a year ago is holding this LSU squad to 20. I just don't. I'm going to be very blunt here. I just don't. I think that old look USC defense would have lost this game. And I'm excited to see how USC's defense continues to progress. But that wasn't the only thing that stood out to me about USC. One, they got a lot of guys involved in that wide receiver room. Two, Miller Moss is a real solid quarterback. Three, Zach Branch is one of the most explosive players in the nation. If you are punting, if you are kicking off, do whatever you can not to let him get the ball. Because sure, he may not have scored from special teams last night. I saw all I needed to see. Don't kick to him. Do whatever you can not to kick to him. Just don't. He can flip the field like that and make it look oh so easy. Keep the ball away from him if you're kicking, please. And I know USC fans are wanting the opposite, and understandably so, but that guy's a different level of explosive. USC's offense looked like USC's offense. Let's be honest here. My question for USC has never been the offense. Even when you lose Caleb Williams, my question was not the offense. My question was the defense, and especially going into the Big Ten. I made a video about this not too long ago that Lincoln had to do something defensively, and the results needed to show. I'm not asking for USC to have a top 10 defense. I'm not. I don't know that that's feasible in 1 year. If it's done, wow. I don't know that that's feasible in 1 year. What I was asking for was for Lincoln Riley and USC to give defensive prospects all across the nation something to look at and say, yeah, we can contribute to that. Or, yeah, we want to contribute to that. Yeah, you can develop us into an NFL player on the defense. And with this new look defensive staff, you got to be impressed. You have got to be impressed. Definitely looks like there's defensive improvements. Lynn was a great hire. Matt Ince was a great hire. Doug Belk is someone we've talked about here on the channel a lot. Familiarity for SEC fans with him. So hats off to USC. Coach Henney up front. Hats off to USC for going out, understanding where your weakness was, and addressing it all across the board. I'm really, really excited to see what this USC defense continues to do and how they end the season. Because once again, I'm not asking that they go from where they were to a top 10 defense. I'm asking for improvement. You don't have to even be top 25. I'm asking for improvement. Because if you can show these young prospects, these young high school guys like, hey, we had a terrible defense a year ago, but we are a much improved defense, and this is only scratching the surface. That's when things are going to be very fun to watch, very exciting to see. But now we need to talk about LSU, because it's kind of the tale of two tapes, right? You have USC, who I think did some things very well, but then you had LSU, who shot themselves in the foot, who played undisciplined, had 10 penalties, almost 100 yards in penalties, and had opportunities, but they didn't capitalize. And to me, that was the story of the game, is you had opportunities on both sides, but USC was able to capitalize on more opportunities than was LSU. And this is LSU's 5th straight loss in openers. And yes, LSU, hats off to scheduling a USC, a Power 5 team in an opener. That's, a great way to kick off college football. And I've seen some LSU fans complaining that, oh, well, we shouldn't have done this. But at the same time, it was a winnable game. It was a great game. LSU could have came away with the victory, but they didn't capitalize on opportunities as they were presented. And that's something that's got to change. This LSU defense did look better as well, because last year it was awful. But is it going to be enough of an impact to make a tangible difference in the manner that LSU needs? I don't know. I really don't know. It's so early to tell. But if you're LSU, there are some things that need to be corrected. And Brian Kelly, after the game, had an absolute meltdown and said something to the effect of their quarterback outplayed our quarterback. Well, you know what, Brian Kelly? I'm going to one-up you. Their staff put their quarterback in a better position than you put your quarterback in. Their staff did more for their quarterback than you did for yours. It's easy to put the blame on a player, and to be fair, Brian Kelly did absolve blame himself, saying, hey, we need to be better. But instead of saying, oh, it's all on Nuss, put him in a better position. I'm not saying that Nuss was perfect. That's not my contention. I'm not saying Miller Moss was perfect. Both teams had opportunities that they did not take advantage of. That's football, especially game one. That USC staff put their young quarterback in better positions than you put yours. So I didn't really sympathize with what Brian Kelly was saying after the game. Felt like a little bit of a cop-out. But at the end of the day, for USC, great to see that the defense looks to be moving in a much more positive direction. Once again, it's only game one, But what I can say, and the reason why I was excited watching it, is I think this LSU offense is not going to be the problem on the team. Offensive line will be up for a Joe Moore Award. They have probably the best left tackle in college football. I like Nuss. I don't think he's a bad quarterback. And it's LSU. They're going to keep wide receivers. Doesn't matter who they lose, they're going to have them. So for USC to go out there, win that game 27-20, I don't think last year's USC defense only allows 20 points. I don't. But I can't wait to hear from all of you. Hop down to the comments. Let me know what you're thinking. That's it. See ya.